So officially, hello everyone. Welcome to our launch event. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're very happy with the turnout, and we hope we are going to have great time today. So James and I are going to start talking, and we're opening this event. And I would like to start by talking a little bit, giving you a background about the project. I don't know how many of you know the project already, but we started actually in 2018. I have been myself have been researching about inclusion and diversity in ELT since 2016. And James, we have always been conference mates. And after seeing some of my presentations, he just came to me, why don't we do something something more practical together? And then we decided to write the first book, which most of you might have seen already. It's available to buy. And we launched that book last IATEFL in 2018 in Liverpool. It was, we are quite satisfied with the effect it had in our industry, right? We were very pleased right after presentation to see how many people just came to us and said how necessary that was. Throughout this year, since the launching of the event until now, we have launched also some things in social media. So now we have our page, which is raiseupforelt.com. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. No TikTok, because I don't like that dancing that much. And I don't think it would be very useful for the book either. And now we actually, going later, we are going to mention the future of the project. But so far, what we have achieved is collaborating with an institution, that is Casa Everything that we have sold has gone to them, has been donated to them. James later will talk about numbers and how many people have bought. But there are many principles that guide us when we think about Rise Up as a project. So one of the things that we have in mind is that inclusion and diversity benefits everyone. From students that are in minority to students that are not in minorities, having an inclusive classroom, having an environment that is safe for everyone to be who they are is only beneficial for teachers and students. Teachers learn. We learn a lot when we teach inclusively, and also we teachers, we have authority in the classroom. And when we bring these, we teachers and the course books, of course, right? So it's important that teachers and the course book facilitate the opportunity to expose and bring up people, groups that have little voice or no voice in society. So this is things that are important to us. Many of you also have realized that the approach that we take towards inclusion is not the problematizing approach. We don't want to go on discussing what big issues like taboo and issues. We try to have something more naturalized and something more light in terms of polemic, because that's not the idea, right? The idea is just make our classroom more inclusive. And with that, we have this list that you can see in the PowerPoint. We have this list of minorities that and groups in society that we want to see more in the classroom and in the in course books, in classroom materials, and etc. From last year to now, this list has become longer. We have included aspects of faith because we know that there is a lot of prejudice and different attitudes toward people of different faiths, and also aspects of mental health, which is something that we want to discuss more and include more in our material and in our classroom. So this is basically what has changed from last year to this year. We included these two, and I believe that this list will go on a little bit longer, because the more we work with diversity, the more we learn how to work with diversity, right? So there's a little bit of a background from our project. Now, James?
Sure.
Just one thing. If you have any questions, if people from that are with us have any question, just please type in the chat. That I'm following the chat while James is speaking, and James is following the chat while he's speaking, and we are following the chat while the others are speaking. So please don't keep it to yourself. James?
Okay, so firstly, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. Much appreciated for our book launch. So Ilár's given you some background there as to who we are and what we've done. And then in the last year, we've also seen some other achievements, I guess you could like landmarks, milestones, however you want to describe them. We have, in working on this project, and when we do describe Raise Up as a project, not just as a series of books, right? Books are part of our project. And they're the main part of the project so far. But so we have written articles for some different publications. Probably the most meaningful one for us was when we were the main feature in the IATEFL Voices magazine, which as long-time IATEFL members, I think was really exciting for us to be there. We've become a reference. This was the first time we've become a reference here, thanks to Chris Richards. And so we've started to be quoted, which is very nice, a new experience for both of us. In the bottom left there, you can see a quote from a review. So we've had the first book reviewed by different websites and journals around the world. This was from a recent one in Australia. So we've had that reaction, which has been uniformly positive, which is obviously very gratifying. We have presented the book both online and offline in lots of places. I've presented the project a few times here in Brazil, and we've done some webinars, including one for a couple for for IATEFL 6. The materials writers TD SIG one, and we did one for the young learners and teens SIG as well. And then of course we have sold copies of our book, which, in case you don't know, is a PDF. It's a downloadable ebook. But the picture here in the bottom right was actually from the university in Canada that contacted us asking for permission to actually print up the book so that they could put it in their university library, which you can imagine, again, was also really really nice for us to see. A physical copy of our book there on the shelf was a lovely milestone for us as well. So so far we've sold the book in around 20 countries, and of course the project is all about raising money for good causes. The good cause for our first book was Casa in Sao Paulo, and I think at the moment we've raised over $900 for them, which is obviously very rewarding for us, and is a very nice benefit of this project. So that's where that's some more of the stuff that we've been up to in the last year. Ilá, I'll pass it back over to you.
Yes, I mean, a lot of things that we have achieved, but of course we want to achieve more, because that's a very dear cause for us. That's something that we truly believe, and we see the need of it more and more. I mean, I think everyone is Just turn on the news and you see how necessary these discussions are, especially when we think about education. What's there for us now for the next steps before this book, after this B1 book? Of course, we want to have books, more books. We are preparing more books for the other levels. We want it to be a series. So the B2 is on the way, and for the next years, you can expect more books from different levels. Maybe some books like for with different not for levels, but with different topics. Let's see how that goes, but definitely books for different levels. Also, of course, we want to keep on spreading the word with presentations, participations in conferences. As soon as we get rid of Corona, we're going to come back to presenting in conferences. Even if it's online, it's fine, because I think it's something that we, not only just because it's our book, of course, but because it raises money for causes. I think we are collaborating in many ways towards the inclusion, more inclusion and more diversity, because of the materials that we are producing, and also the money we are raising for very important institutions. Later on, James will mention the institution that will be benefited from the selling of this book. So of course we are going to spread the words. We count on you to help us spread the word and share in social media and talk to your colleagues about the book and help us get more and more people to join us. But what I think is more important that is changing now in Rise Up is the way we are seeing activism and collaborating in the project. The thing is, inclusion and diversity aren't buzzwords nowadays. Everybody's talking about inclusion and diversity and representation. But the thing is, talking about that is not enough. Real inclusion means not only mentioning the minorities and the groups that are not although they do not have position of power, but real inclusion, it means putting these people there. I mean, giving our voice, giving people this voice, giving our voice as privileged as white people, as cisgender, giving our voice to people that have no space, no voice. So this is something that has changed in this edition of the B1 book. It's not James and I who wrote it. I wrote a big part of it, but we had a lot of authors that from different backgrounds writing about different minorities. And this is why we want to make it bigger in Rise Up, how we collaborate, how people collaborate with Rise Up and see in us a channel to actually voice what they need. We do have our website, and the website is going to have a blog. So we want to have people writing for the blog, people being interviewed. We have more books coming up, so we want people to write for it, and we can just organize it, because we don't know, nobody knows what everybody needs, right? I mean, if you belong to a minority, you know what that group needs. So this is what we need in Rise Up, and this is what we want. We want more and more books, more and more people collaborating and using us as a channel for their voices. This is pretty much what we see in the future of Rise Up. So far, so good. Do we have any questions? Do you have any issues? Okay, you can just use the chat. I can see all of you here. But I think I'm going to pass it on to James, who's going to present the book now, right?
I am, yes.
The new baby.
Yes, so, okay. So let me show you the new book. So here's the cover, which hopefully you've seen. The book is out now. It's available right now. You can go and buy it. I mean, it would be nice if you did it after we've finished talking. But yes, Gabriella's just left a comment. Gabriella, I published it secretly on the internet yesterday, so it would be ready today. And I saw you were the first person to buy it already. So I don't know how you managed to find it. You have some sort of secret ninja skills. But yes, you were congratulations, you're the first person to buy the new book. And maybe at the moment you're the only one. Yeah, so the book is now available at this website. There's the QR code, and there's the website which will take you to be able to go and buy it. It's the same price as last time, which is £5. Yeah, it's out now. But let me tell you about it, and then later on you can go and get it. So there are, just like with the first book, there are 8 lessons. But as Ilá said, the difference this time is that we have guest writers. Three of whom are here today. So the first lesson is by Hugh Deller. We're really happy to have Hugh write a lesson for us. Obviously, he's a very well-known course book writer. He's written the Outcomes series for Nat Geo with Andrew Walkley, which is actually the one I used to teach with. So you can imagine that we were very pleased to have him there. So he's written this lesson about a class, which is something which is very dear to my heart, this particular subject, and how class is treated in working class people are treated, or completely absent, more likely, in our materials. So that's the first lesson there, about class. The third lesson, I'm jumping Ilá's lessons here. I'll get back to them in a second. Talk about the guests first. It seems only polite. So the third lesson in the book is by Eloisa, who's going to be speaking here today. So I won't speak about it too much because I'm sure she has some things to say about her lesson. But it's so this lesson is about elderly people and touches on aspects of social media and travel. But it's also, about pronunciation, simple past. One of my favorite subjects to teach. I was teaching it yesterday. I will mention here as well, of course, that some of the lessons in the book are illustrated. So thanks to Danilo, who illustrated this one. You can say thanks to him for me, Ilá. He's in the background there somewhere. And you can see I love the illustrations on this lesson. I think they're really beautiful. So they're attractive lessons as well. The fifth lesson is by Carlos, who's also here today. So this is a really lovely lesson about family and identity, and you can see from the images that there are diverse family groups, so it's about that sense of diversity, and it has the grammar, relative clauses with who, and a very interesting perspective on that particular topic. I think I'll let you buy the book and find out what I mean. And then Sergio, who's presenting as well today. Again, I'm not going to say too much. I'll let Sergio do that. But it's a great lesson about immigration and people who are traveling through Mexico and attitudes towards migration. And it's a really interesting lesson that encourages critical thinking and to examine what is a really complex subject, while also looking at the language of linkers. So it's another lovely lesson. Okay, we've got, and now we go on to Ilá's lessons. So lesson number 2, where she talks about weather related to indigenous practices. So this is one of our areas. This is the representation of indigenous people within ELT materials. And she looks at ways of using will for the future. The next lesson there is about language and about alternative, if you like, Englishes. They're not really alternative, but they're seen as alternative Englishes. And so it's this idea of going beyond what people normally think of as the sort of normal dichotomy of British and American English, and maybe even, you might get Australian, South African, but these are other Englishes in the world. And it's a really interesting examination of that while looking at superlatives. Dear Diary is a lesson about it's about mental and physical well-being, and it touches upon issues related to therapy and the representation of non-traditional body types. And this is a really nice lesson about a particular person and their journey, and and it looks at comparatives as well, of course, and some vocabulary about life and living. And then the final lesson is about blind people and about travel, which is not things that you would normally associate with being together, which is why I really love this lesson and the way that it makes people will make our students perhaps challenge some of their assumptions. And it's about going for future plans as well as some traveling vocabulary. So those are the lessons in the book. Now, this book was put together not just by Ilá and I, but also by this diverse team of writers and editors. So what we have is people who are working with us to make these the best lessons that we can. This is something that is new from the first book, and so we've added these people to help us raise the quality of the lessons to make them even better than they were before. So you can see that these are the writers and editors, and we're very grateful to them, obviously, for their contributions. So yeah, and then I want to mention something very important about this project, which Ilá also mentioned, but everybody who works on this is a volunteer. So no one is making any money out of this. And all of the money that we raise goes to good causes. As we said, the first book, the money went to Casal in Sao Paulo, and we've decided for the second book that we will be donating the money to Las Patronas, an organization in Mexico. Maybe in a moment when we speak to Sergio, he might want to mention something about them, because his lesson is about them. But they just do this wonderful work of providing food to people who are traveling, to migrants traveling on the train through Mexico in very difficult conditions. And they are a group of women in this small village who decided to help people. So it's a really inspiring and beautiful project, and we're really happy to be able to try and help them by donating money to their cause. Okay, so as I said, here's the hard sell. It's available. You can buy it right now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go, as soon as I finish talking, I'm going to go and check to make sure that all of you who are here have bought it already. And then I shall come back and interrupt and bully you. No, I won't. So this project, everything in this project is by volunteers. We do not have a marketing department. We do not have anyone behind us who can help us to promote what we're doing here. And so we need you. We need you to help us. We have our social media channels. The name is here, the @RaiseUp4ELT. That's where you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But we need your help. So if you believe in this project and if you believe in what we're doing, then I want you to try, if you're watching this live or you're watching on the video, I want you to think, what could I do? Is there something I could do within my social networks? Or perhaps I can contact someone directly, send them the link and say, I think you'd really like this. Send someone a text message, an email, whatever you prefer. But for a project like us, word of mouth is absolutely essential. We really, really need it. So whatever you can do, however big or small, we would really appreciate it, because we think that this is really an important project. And we want to get it out to as many people as possible. And I think I don't think we've even begun to touch the surface of how many people would be interested in this topic. I think there's a lot of work we still have to do, and we need you to do it. So, okay, so there's the hard sell bit. Ilá, I'll pass back over to you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, James. It was, I can't help not to be a little bit emotional when I say the reaches that we are getting, like, and the institutions that we are helping, and how many people just voluntarily donate time of their lives to help the other. I mean, just, and so I'm a little bit emotional now.